How does one begin a podcast? With a jingle, perhaps. Good thing I already have one.
Shop my shoe, shop my shooby-doo. I swear to God that it's not shoe.
I swear to my Lord and former Lord and Savior, I don't know what I believe in. We're back. We're not back. This is the first time. Gary Vee told me to start a podcast, and that's why I'm doing it.
Thanks, Gary Vee.
Because I'm a venture capitalist. I don't even know what the venture part means. Ace Ventura capitalist in this bitch.
Venture card from...
Where was I?
Brother Zach is in the house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Cornell. I was asking, and you responded promptly just like a good boy.
Stop.
What?
Not Cornell.
He's a good boy. Good man. My guy. This is our very first episode of the podcast. Eric Andre applause. Are y'all excited for the podcast? Yeah! Oh, you are. Thank you for answering the question in an excited manner. God, this thing comes in handy.
Worth every penny.
I didn't pay for it. I just want to say this from the get-go. I know what you're thinking. Is this just another, self-obsessed male with a inflated ego who thinks that people want to hear him talk for hours on end?
That's what I was thinking.
I knew it, see? That's why I'm putting it out before you can even say it. I don't think I'm interesting. I'm not doing this because I think I'm hilarious and that I'm just going to gain a following talking. The main thing is just to give myself an outlet. And I think podcasts, in a way, they, incentivize good conversations.
That's true.
There's all these people I haven't talked to in forever. And I feel like me being someone that, values art above everything else, it's been easy to just say, no, I'm not going to talk to anybody because I'm focused on my craft. I just want to make music or draw. If I'm talking to somebody, then I'm not doing art. But, if I see conversations as an art form, then I'll actually want to do it,
Yeah.
Podcasts are awkward as hell. Man, I had a thought, but where did it go?
You were talking about reconnecting with people.
Oh, yeah, and just how, I wanted to go back to what the last couple of years have been like. You know how I was in, a mental hospital twice?
Yeah.
I think back on that, and I forget. I have to constantly remind myself, that really happened. I really got locked up for reaching out for help. Because, I attempted suicide. Ambulance takes me to the hospital. I'm on a 24-hour watch where, I'm literally just in this room. This is when I had, a bunch of marijuana in me, a bunch of alcohol in me. And I even had sleep medication in me, which makes me very paranoid. So it took a while to just come down and figure out what was going on. Yeah. So I really don't know what's happening. I just know I'm put in an isolation room, and there's a camera pointed at me, and that's pretty much the only thing in the room. And they say, I don't know if they're asking me or telling me. I'm pretty sure initially it was an ask because my mother spoke to them, and she showed on my Instagram post where I was talking about how frustrating it was. I would reach out to therapists and be like, I've attempted suicide 4 times. And they'd be like, just casual, let's just meet again next week and pick up where we left off. I'm like, I'm dying. If I was physically dying, they would rush me to the back and they would save this man's life. They wouldn't in the middle of the surgery say, let's pick up next week. Yeah. They're not going to make it till next week if they're dying.
Yeah.
But that's what my mom read this post to the people at the hospital. She thought she was helping me at the time. We both realize now that their solution was not good because they said, we're going to take you to Lakeview now.
Another facility?
Yeah. Well, the regular hospital. But then they took me to the mental hospital. And everyone in the facility everyone was suicidal. Which is kind of, I don't know if... Take a suicidal person and put them around a bunch of other suicidal people. To an extent, it's good. Oh, I relate. Yeah, me too. But, when the professionals are doing a shitty job, there's not really much hope in there. The realest shit that you would ever hear in there is some people saying, this isn't helping. Why is the place for depressed people making me more depressed? I want to die more now than I did before I... But if you said that stuff, you get additional days at the facility.
Yeah.
And they'd get pissed at you. It's just weird that the realest stuff is the most hopeless stuff. because they
Yeah.
aren't providing you anything. We were watching Jurassic Park, Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, Napoleon's a good one,
I
but
do
like
that movie.
it's like adult daycare in this place.
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous? They're
Mhm.
just holding you hostage for a week. On my floor, most of the people were pretty normal. Pretty cool people, actually. But, like, say you had a breakdown, then they'd put you on the floor under us with the really crazy people. Which is a horrible way to... It's a horrible system. If you let your emotions out, you're punished.
Mhm.
They teach you to hold your emotions in. That's the opposite of, like, healthy.
Very true.
You're supposed to let it out, think through it, get to the root of it, so you can figure your shit out, not repress it. Repress it is like what people do outside of the hospital
Yeah.
when they don't want to deal with it. You go to get help
Exactly.
in order to deal with it.
Exactly.
And then the reason I wanted to get out of there was so I could find somewhere that would actually help me.
Exactly.
Not so I could go back and attempt again.
Right. Exactly.
If you're going to hold people hostage for a week, do something for them. What's wild is that, like, we didn't see the sun for like a week.
You stay inside.
Yeah, and the door to my room was locked. Like when I went out of my room, they locked it, and we had to stay in this main room.
Yeah.
No light, no sunlight at all. You didn't go outside until like day
Since
6 or something. We went outside.
1 day a week.
Yeah, I didn't know what time of day it was because we didn't see sunlight. I was talking to my mom. There was like this payphone from like 20 years ago that's on the wall, and that
Yeah.
you could barely hear through.
Yeah.
And there was always people there waiting to speak next.
Exactly.
So like you really didn't have much time. But like I was talking to my mom and I thought it was like 6 o'clock or something. She's like, it's 9:30 in the morning. You should really have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus.
And they don't even like tell you. Do you have like a schedule? Like breakfast.
There's a
happens at this
schedule.
time?
You just, it all blurs together.
Yeah.
Because every day is the same. What day is it? You know, for the first like 5 days, you're just going to say, let me out of here, please. There's nothing you can do. Truly. Everyone there had the reason why they shouldn't be there. Many of them were saying, I'm not even suicidal. But for me, I'm like, I am, but I want help. I wasn't going to downplay the situation at all. I just wanted actual solutions,
Yeah.
which was what was frustrating. You're literally just a number there. You come in scrubs from the hospital. The second they see you in those scrubs, you're like not a human anymore.
Yeah. So
It's-
essentially, they're just like watching you. You don't go through any lessons, or do you? Are you given
I mean, there's
something to
some
look
bullshit,
at, or
like-
some kind of way to progress at all?
They have some like bullshit worksheets that just,
Worksheets. Nice.
I can't even explain how ridiculous it was though. Because you really couldn't give any real answer without being penalized.
Yeah.
Every day they'd say, how are you on a scale from 1 to 10? And you'd say 10 because you want to leave.
Yeah.
Every day we'd say 10, but we all feel like shit, and we just tried to kill ourselves a week ago.
Yeah.
10, I'm great. How much of your breakfast did you eat? All of it. Did you poop today? Yep. They really ask that. That's the pharmacist that asked that one, but I'm like, I'm pooping, I'm eating. 10 out of 10, baby.
Mhm.
Let me go home. In a place that makes sense, they should say, here's some action steps you can take. Maybe you'd have to call some people and make sure you have an action plan for next time. These are the people I'm going to call. Like, there'd be things you could do practically to speed up your time before you can get out versus fake it. Pretend you're okay and you can leave. Even the faking it really didn't get you out any faster. But, like, if I was being blatantly real, I would have stayed much longer. I probably never would have left if I just kept saying how I actually felt. Anyone on the staff just wouldn't be too happy if you were actually being honest. If you brought up flaws in the system, they'd get mad at you. Like,
Yeah.
you're not taking your recovery seriously, aren't you? I'm like, no, this doesn't work. I
Yeah.
want to recover. I don't think these facilities should exist, honestly. They're like exploiting the most vulnerable people that are, people that are on the brink of dying. And the reason they want to keep you in there for a week is because they want your insurance's money. Your insurance will cover it for that long, and then they
Yeah.
let you go. This isn't just me being conspiratorial. That they need to make money somehow, obviously. Isn't that fucked up, though? The first facility I went to, there's at least some people who got something out of it. But Lakeview, the one I was trapped in with no way out, Ridgeview was the first place, and I left eventually. I was allowed to.
Mhm.
It was only a PHP, partial hospitalization program. I was allowed to leave each day and go home. This one, you're trapped. But that partial hospitalization program, there's at least some people that got something out of it and were like, who loved it.
Mhm.
But at Lakeview, there wasn't one success story there.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem with the system, not the people. They keep
100%.
they act like when one person brings up a problem to them that it's the first time they've ever heard it. But I guarantee every day they have people saying the same stuff to them, and they're not changing anything. It just pisses me off. Because I know right now there's new people being put in there every single day that tried to kill themselves, and they're being held hostage, and they're saying, let me out, or at least help me.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Right.
They're watching Jurassic Park
Yeah.
and whatever else. Ugh. I mean, there's some pretty cool people. It's interesting to think, oh, we just all happened to try to kill ourselves in the same week, and now we're just in the same facility. But it's just wild. I mean, I don't even necessarily blame the staff because it's the institution. I'm sure they're underpaid. They were definitely understaffed.
Yeah, and they're definitely given exactly what they're supposed to do.
And they know that there's nothing they can do to get people out. So, like, when we're begging them to let us out, they're just going to scoff, look the other way, and, like, try to pretend they're doing something else. Maybe they are busy doing something else. They don't have time to answer the question. And they're asked that question every day. Like,
Yeah.
I can't blame the people. Once you, like, stay there for a while, you start to get to know the staff, and they're kind of nice people. But it's like, that first day especially, when they just won't acknowledge, like, your own situation,
Yeah.
you're like, damn, they aren't even, like, listening to me, looking at me in the eye. I'm a product on the assembly line. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares about that place.
It sounds horrible. I mean, it sounds like jail.
Jail's the closest thing.
Jail, you get to go outside, I think.
That's wild. At least in jail you can do blah blah blah. At least you get raped in jail. I mean, I wasn't getting any action. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's wild that jail is the closest thing you can compare it to, because it's like I'm being punished. I'm being punished because I reached out for help.
Yeah.
I didn't have to call the ambulance. I could have just died.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I wouldn't have died. Who knows? But it's because I said, somebody help me. That's why they're holding me here.
Mm.
So nobody's thinking, most people in there are saying, I shouldn't have called the hospital. I shouldn't have asked for help. They're not thinking I shouldn't have tried to kill myself. They're thinking I shouldn't have asked for help.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the biggest problem.
Like, you're literally just left to think, why did I say anything? Next time I'm suicidal, I'm not telling anyone. I'm just going to do it. Something that was kind of obnoxious, so perfectly portrayed by South Park. Alcoholics Anonymous, I attended a meeting while I was in the hospital. Even though nothing was related to alcohol. They just said, you don't have to go to this, but if you want to, go ahead. So I did it. But it was just like South Park, where they say, they're basically like, just letting y'all know, we're not a religious organization. This is just for alcoholics to get better. All right, with every head bowed and every eye closed. I just saw these two people walk in with a Bible, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. It's
And then we started praying to get. I mean, I'm not like anti-Christian. I used to be super Christian. A lot of the people that are listening to this podcast probably remember Super Christian Zach. You remember him. You were there. And I'm making my way back to some sort of spirituality. But there's still part of me that's kind of hostile
yeah.
to it. There's just some certain people that are so crazy or so super excited about religion and Christianity that they can't think about things on a situation-to-situation basis. They're just, let me recite to you. Like, they can't just talk to you like you're a person.
Yeah.
And that's what they basically came off as to me. And it was just annoying, because one of their main things is admit that you were powerless to your addiction and that you need to surrender to a higher power.
Yeah.
That gives, I know you don't want to, like, you need to give yourself grace, and you need to also be disciplined. You don't want to resolve yourself of all responsibility. You have some power.
Mm.
That's like that's doing yourself a disservice to say, I am powerless. I can't do anything about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on. You can do some practical things right now to get over your alcoholism or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree with that? Or
Yeah, totally across the board. But I knew someone who was a alcohol addict for a very long time and eventually ended up in AA, and
did they like it or not?
really took to it, eventually becoming someone who was a very active part of AA to the point of
I'm like sipping this while talking about. Oh,
hey, we both are.
it's so fucking cold.
And this person has not tasted alcohol in like 20 years.
See, that's one of the things I hate about Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a disease. I can't control myself. One drop and I'm gone. Moderation's important. You don't want to like drink so much that you can't go somewhere and be social without alcohol. But like a little bit of alcohol is not bad. Even if you've gone really way over the top, now you know where to stop. That doesn't mean, I don't know. For some people, maybe they need to stop entirely. They have an addictive personality or something. But like, they don't act like there's nuance to it. None. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
There was somebody in there next to me, sitting right next to me, that was like, I'm trying to remember what they said. They were basically telling, the guy who's the leader of it was saying, you need to surrender yourself to a higher power in order to do this and have people around you, or else you're not going to get out of it. And this guy next to me is like, well, I was addicted to meth, and one day I just said, I don't want to do this anymore, and stopped doing meth. And I haven't done it in 20 years. I'm not saying that's like easy, but it was just wild. This guy next to me, I'm like, damn. Sometimes he made a promise to his dad who was like in prison, and his dad died. It's because he has so much probably emotionally tied to it that he was able to follow through with it.
Yeah.
But he promised his dad he would quit. His dad died in prison and he quit. I just think that's crazy. Maybe for some people it's like a different limit.
Yeah.
But like, don't sell yourself short by saying you're powerless.
Completely. No, and I think anyone who does that is really undermining themselves.
It's an excuse, I feel like, to not do anything that's within your control. Because that's probably not, like, in my own situations. Like, I've started working out 3 times a week. I went back to school.
Back to school.
Because I wanted... in the middle of a serious thing. I'm thinking about my future now. I'm working out. I'm going to therapy once a week. I'm eating better now. I pretty much cut off all soda.
Amazing.
Not like that's like a super...
No, that actually is. It actually is.
It's just like wasted carbs to me.
Sugar. I mean,
I don't know. My point is, I'm taking action steps that are within my control and have been within my control the entire time. Like us talking for the first time. I mean, we talked over the phone, but seeing each other for the first time since 2018. The other conversations I'm going to have on here. There's things you can do right now to make your situation better. Not saying mental illness doesn't exist. It clearly does.
yeah.
But there's stuff you can do about it in addition. Maybe you need medication or something. But that doesn't mean don't do anything else. Just the medication. I don't have time to waste by not putting every effort into trying to get better. It's wild though, bro. Those freaking institutions. Because surely, like, after going there for a week, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Did I tell you it was under investigation numerous times? People have died there. I didn't find out until after I got home and looked it up.
Oh, what?
Maybe that's why they took our phones away the entire week, so we couldn't look up how horrible the place was.
Yeah.
Somebody got locked in the fridge or something, the freezer. Their
Oh my
toes
God.
came off and all this shit. People have gotten, like, raped there by the... I don't know if it was by other people or if it was by the staff. I don't want to make wild claims, but
yeah.
they've gotten raped there by somebody.
Goodness.
It's just...
How do you think it compares to like rehab centers, which obviously are
Well, the
very,
first one I went to was
very-
kind of sort of that thing. At
Mhm.
least with a rehab center, if you're just held captive, you're at least away from the drug.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Well, I know that one of the big things about rehab is that you can't be administered against your will.
The reason I was is because It's like you get the word from the hospital that says he's a danger to himself.
Mm.
And once you get their say on that, then, I mean, you can't let him out in the wild.
Yeah.
I'm confused what happened because it's supposed to be 72 hours you can't. But then somehow that gets turned into over a week. I think the 24 hours suicide watch, that sounds warranted. Just watch them for 24 hours.
Yeah.
A week? It sucks because to me, after I attempt, I'm still alive. Those are some of my most productive moments is when I'm like, the bounce back. If I wasn't in there, I could have been doing so much to get myself right. It's like you still got adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
to propel you in a positive direction. So
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you holding me in here? If I'm a danger to myself, why'd you lock me in here with myself?
Yeah.
I'm legally on paper a danger to myself.
Right.
Put him in there with himself. But it's like the whole building is suicide proof.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
I don't know if I said this. The showers, you click a button and it only goes for 10 seconds at a time. You have to keep clicking the button so you can't drown yourself.
Wow.
It's so annoying. And you're
my
just sitting there like shivering.
God.
Oh my god.
Was
Yeah.
there any?
If you came there with sorry, one more thing.
Go
If you
ahead. Go
came
ahead.
there with shoes that had shoestrings on them, you had to take the shoestrings off. The shoes
Oh.
wouldn't stay on my feet without shoestrings. The
Oh.
big flap that like
Yeah.
my mom just brought me some slides. They wouldn't let me with my contact lenses. I couldn't have the solution for some reason. I would have to give it back to the person at night and at morning.
Oh wow.
I'd be like, "Can I please have my contact lenses?" And they would act like it's such a burden to them. No, this is a burden to me. I wish I could just take it and not have to bother you. They'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, I'll get to it in a second. I'm sorry." I'm like, I want to see. I can't see anything.
Right, bro. It's their job to like administer these things.
But what can I do with solution? Maybe if you drink solution, you could die or something.
Some kind of chemical thing you might be able to make yourself.
It's like they're
sick or
giving you
something.
ideas, though. I wouldn't have known that until you told me.
Exactly. Yeah, but other people might have. I don't know.
But still, though, it's just like I'm like at my least suicidal after just surviving.
Yeah.
You're still in shock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I was trying to get to was that was there any opportunity for a creative outlet while you were sitting there in that kind of like, wow, I survived.
Well, I
Moment.
just like, thank God, my mom brought me a notebook.
Mm,
And
exactly.
I had to steal pencils from people, like from the behind the desk, in order to write. But like,
Oh my God. Oh yeah, because it's like
I
proof
s-
of everything.
they're like points. I guess.
Exactly.
But I just kept writing and writing. I literally thought about Shia LaBeouf and how he said in Rehab he wrote the script for Honey Boy, the movie. And I was like, if he could accomplish that in Rehab, like surely I can write something while I'm stuck in here. What else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I wrote a couple songs actually, but I mean, who knows when anyone will ever hear them? But I like them.
That's still something.
I keep changing them over and over, but the lyrics are relevant, and I've never heard a song about being in a mental facility. I mean, people like rock songs will use that as an analogy. They'll be in like a straitjacket on the cover of the album, or they'll, people entertain this idea of a mental facility just for the aesthetic of it, but
Yeah.
I never hear about actual stories because people associate that with schizophrenia and some like further extreme stuff,
Yeah.
not just you tried to kill yourself.
Right. I watched this movie recently, not that recently, called Girl Interrupted. Have you heard of it?
I've seen that movie. I remember liking it.
I thought it was okay. I kind of got disappointed at the end, but
I just know that there was like a short period of time when I just looked up movies that have to do with mental health, and I just watched them all. Perks of Being a
Wallflower.
this one.
That was pretty good.
I don't
It's
remember
a little
it
cheesy.
much.
Did you watch Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah, they played
kinda
that in
like
the
that
fucking
movie.
hospital I was in.
I kind of like that movie though.
That one was at least in the hospital. They played that one. I'm like, at least this one's relevant. And
Yeah.
but then they start playing Jurassic Park and Napoleon Dynamite. I'm like, okay, this is a blatant slap in the face. You're just wasting my time. That one they could pretend that they're trying to do something helpful by playing that movie. There's
Mhm.
one movie that was really good I saw recently, but the guy his friend shows up, and they're like, "Sir, you can't smoke in here." Next thing you know, he breaks his friend out, and they just leave. You can't. First of all, you can't even have a visitor. My mom had to stay behind this glass in another room. They wouldn't
Yeah.
let her have a glass box. My mother.
Mm.
My therapist was on the line telling the people, he's in my care. I don't want him in there. I'm his therapist. My mom is in, my whole family's on the line saying we don't want him in there. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
That's why it's literally prison.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. The fact that the police have raided the place, if I would have called 911 from the place, would they still not have been able to get me out?
Right.
Who has power over them? Anyone? The FBI had to raid the place, and yet they're still open.
Lakeview FBI raid.
Raided by police. After patient found dead in freezer. More than 50 local police officers raided it.
Oh, so it wasn't an FBI thing, it was a police thing here?
Police. I think I started to say FBI earlier.
Was this the only instance of police, like, raiding the place, or did
I'm
you
pretty sure
think
there's
about
been
others?
multiple open
Right.
investigations. This is the one where the child lost the toe. Look, this says 46 claims of abuse investigated.
I see.
Confirmed death, sexual abuse,
Mhm.
accusations of theft.
Mhm.
I didn't get to read anything about it before they sent me there. I'm ashamed that the hospital... I mean, I'm sure the hospital gets people all the time that just so many that... What do? We got to get them out of the hospital and get them somewhere. But it's just... I'm disappointed that the hospital's just still sending people there.
Yeah.
Just get them signed up with a personal therapist. Like, that would do way more. Nothing about it makes sense to just hold them hostage. Unless you're just keeping an eye on them, making sure they don't try to kill themselves again. There's got to be a better way to do this shit. Have you had therapy or anything before? Went to a counselor or anything like that?
No, but that is something that I have felt like I needed to do for a minute. I've never been in, like, endangering myself or endangering others kind of situation, other than just, like, maybe doing some drugs that I shouldn't have, or combinations of things that I should have
You've
been
had
more
like
mindful
moments
of.
though where you've been able to like just try something and be like, okay, I know I'm not gonna do that again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's what people don't talk about.
Yeah.
You can just, I mean, not like I really, knowing everything I've been through, I don't want to just experiment right now. But I feel like there's a lot of people that have just tried something and been like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. I can't believe in the first mental facility I went to, they told me that marijuana was just as bad as every other drug.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure the only reason they said that was so that everyone in the room would feel like they're equals. Like, they don't want to single anybody out. But I was I was challenging them. And I felt bad because I didn't realize there were people that were addicted to all sorts of drugs around me. Like, we can at least all agree it's not like it's crack or something. Meanwhile, the person next to me is addicted to crack and I'm just talking down on it.
Oops.
But still, though, like, I don't think that was their actual opinion. I think that was just a tactic to make everyone be on the same page.
Probably.
Because that's like something someone would say years and years ago. Like, that's some Ronald Reagan shit to say that
Yeah.
marijuana is just as bad as everything else.
Yeah.
I just thought that was ridiculous that a professional was telling me. And then I, like, fought them on that. And they were like, well, clearly you have a weed problem. I was like, I've smoked once, like, 2 years ago. I'm like, I'm just making a political point here. Like, clearly it's not as bad as some of these other drugs. They just wouldn't hear me out. That's the only way that makes sense, is that they were just trying to get everybody on the same page. They don't want someone to feel like their addiction is worse than someone else's. Because some people were there literally for, like, smoking weed too much. There was somebody there. This is a tangent, sort of. There was one guy in there. I don't know how the heck he was alive. This man shot himself in the head, yet was somehow alive. He was a
Wow.
veteran. He was about my age.
Strong brain.
It's sad, though, because, like, the shit they had to see and do, like, he couldn't wrestle with it.
I see.
He put a gun to his head, pulled the trigger, and somehow is still alive. It's
Yeah.
just wild. I've never heard of that happening to anybody. But this man, like, it was sad because his brain was clearly jumbled. He was barely making out the words.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to leave. And he was saying, you belong here. Look at me. I tried to come up. I don't want to make fun of him. But it was just, to me, as someone who knew I could get help somewhere else, this is the guy encouraging me to stay here? I was just like you, and look at me now. His, like, brains are dripping out his ears. And I'm like, I don't know if this is helping me to hear this. You could be like me one day. Maybe that's incentive not to pull the trigger, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Everyone there was, like, talking about drug addictions, and I was like, oh, well, I just tried to kill myself.
Yeah.
That was Ridgeview, Smyrna,
Mhm.
not Lakeview. Lakeview is pretty much all suicide. but they weren't helping us. Ridgeview everyone was there for addiction except for me. And so there was little things I could learn from here and there. Lakeview felt like prison. Ridgeview felt like high school where they just blatantly waste your time until the bell rings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not going to use this. But like, not one time ever did they say, maybe this isn't the right solution for you, but there's plenty of solutions out there. So don't feel discouraged. Maybe something else will help.
Yeah.
They just said, no, you're in the right place. But they were talking to somebody about meth and someone about heroin, someone about Xanax. And I'm like, I just tried to kill myself. Talking about Xanax isn't going to help me. It helped plenty of people.
Right.
But I'm like
this
can you just acknowledge that my situation is different? Surely, like, if I stayed here and I listened, there'd be little pieces of information that would be helpful for me if I really tried. But they acted like it was on me. It's my fault that I'm not listening to every addiction story and finding little tidbits that I can benefit from. I don't see what the problem would be in them saying maybe somewhere else is more helpful for you.
Yeah.
Being someone who attempted recently, they probably just don't want to say, leave. They want to keep an eye on me. That's because I don't want to assume any of these people are nefarious. They're just people doing their jobs.
Right.
And when you're given 95% addiction people, you're probably going to cater to the majority. But if they would have just said that once, that would have been enough comfort for me to say that I don't hate this place. But it's any of those like places that insurance covers completely. They're kind of like a public place. They really aren't going to help you that much.
Yeah. You know, I know a ton of people who have been through like rehab after rehab. Ultimately, what that has always boiled down to is like, as long as you are like not invested in it, it's never like paid off, you know. And it's only whenever you like are willing to do the stupid tasks, are willing to like try to do whatever to get better, that you're actually going to find some kind of success.
See,
inside
that's
of
the
a
shit
rehab.
that I got pissed off that people kept saying. Because like at this place, they kept saying that as if there was anything. I do think
I was wondering if
different.
there was anything there that you thought was like some kind of substance.
Maybe
if you like were to really
the
invest.
only thing when I pressed in and just wrote down everything that was on my mind.
Right, and that's something
That's the good
is just
thing I got out of
standard.
it. But it had nothing to do with them.
Right.
But I do think with addiction, when you go to somewhere, it's different in the fact
Totally.
that you're just getting away from the drug. Like that'll, even if they blatantly waste your time, that's more time that's passed without you and the drug together. And that's sometimes all you need. But if you're just suicidal, a lot of these places, I read a lot about it online when I got out. A lot of them throw suicidal people in with addiction over and over again all over the country, as if that's the same.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times suicide, when you talk about it, let's get to the root of why you wanted to kill yourself. That's what you need to talk about. There's practical things you can put in place right now. What are your insecurities that made you think that death was better than staying alive? What are the things you can do right now to change? Like, I've noticed for me, things I've been doing, like the solution to being suicidal is you want to create a life that's worth living. You want a life that, you want enough quality of life that you don't want to leave it. I posted on Instagram that a better plan than trying not to kill myself is trying to live. I don't know, if you fixate on don't do it. Or you could go out of your way to try to make the best life possible. And then a natural byproduct of that would be not wanting to kill yourself. Instead of killing myself, what are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen? Like, there's no practical stuff ever talked about in there.
Yeah.
I feel like addiction, you might just need to get distracted. And that'll help. Suicide, just getting distracted isn't going to help you. And I wish that there was something I could do about it to keep anybody else from getting put in that position again.
Yeah.
Because people don't know about how those facilities work.
Do you feel like these facilities offer anything?
I mean, I don't know. Now I have this factor when I don't want to attempt again because I don't want to end up in a place like that again.
Right, and that's
Not
something
necessarily
else.
that they helped me, but it was so bad that I'm like,
Yeah.
the chance that I survive, I'll end up in a horrible place
Yeah.
with no way out. And it makes you so much more appreciative of the freedom you have outside of that place. I had no idea how free I was out there. I could do anything I wanted to do. Here, there's nothing I could possibly... I almost broke out at one point. Before it even started, I was in the waiting room. And we were in there for hours. I hadn't eaten all day. Nobody gave me any food. I couldn't get any food. And I just waited in there. no air conditioning or anything. I'm like pacing around. I almost broke through the glass. I actually rammed against this one door multiple times. I'm so glad nobody saw me because they would have put me on the crazy floor. I was like ramming through this door trying to break the lock and leave. Little did I know every door in there is locked. So if I would have broken through that door, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere. But like after like 7 hours of not being acknowledged by anybody, you're in the tiniest little closet room. I feel like I'm not the only person that's done that shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you what's going on. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I could be getting help right
Mhm.
now. I could be talking to my mom. They took my phone. I can't tell anyone where I am. They know I attempted and I disappeared. And they're just going to have to sit with that for a week and
Mhm.
not know where I am.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I stole a nightgown. Let me get my nightgown.
A night you stole one?
Oh.
Is it even stealing? It sounds like some kind of issue thing.
keep it.
You stole the drip. I mean, look at that. Look at that pattern. It looks like
I was walking around. I'm helpless. There's nothing I can do.
fuck. You did not trip over the cord. No.
How many of y'all have tried to kill yourselves before? I got the nightgown to prove it, bitch. How many of y'all have wanted to slit your fucking throats?
You should do this, all of them in combination with that.
How many of y'all have tried to kill?
I swear to God that it's not true.
Suicide.
That one does play the longest, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm about to go back to the mental hospital because I can't stop clicking these buttons.
You gotta tell them that's what you're addicted to now.
Those buttons are just as bad as every other drug. I'm Ronald Reagan. Politics. Alright, we should probably wrap this shit up. You got anything else to say?
I don't think so. We talked
All
about
right,
quite
now
a
I'm
bit.
gonna say some provocative things to ruin my career in 10 years. I'm gonna list off all my favorite racial slurs, because I have favorites. I love them all, actually. I can't even choose. How should I end these? Alright, Kanye West.
I swear to God that it's not true.